Hey, Grip, I'm here. So whenever you're ready to go, just let me know.
Look at you.
Been an interesting hour.
I bet. Well, I would probably give it a few minutes because I did send out a note
Yep.
to the club saying it would start about 7:15. So maybe we start in about 5 or 6 minutes or so.
We can wait to whatever you want to do.
Okay.
7:15, and you can give me access to share my screen and everything, right?
Yep. Let me do that now. Yeah, let's start about 7:10. About
Okay.
7:10. Let me give you access here. All right, I just made you the host. You should get that in a second.
Yep, got it. Perfect, Grip. Thank you.
Hey, Brian, just a heads up, once we do get started here, it's set so that they can't come off of mute.
Okay.
So they'll have to ask any of their questions through the chat. So I'll keep an eye on that for you, and whatnot. But just remind them of that if it goes silent.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Makes life easier for you, I'm sure, and some of the other things, huh?
Yeah, we finally figured out how to do that after a couple of mishaps. All right, gang. Well, I'm going to let Coach Bryan go ahead and get started. Might have a couple more filter in closer to 7:15. But for those of you that don't know Coach Bryan is the head coach at Goucher College and also one of the athletic directors there. He's coached at the college level for 20 years now, including at the Division I level and now at the Division III level. He has a ton of experience, obviously coaching in club soccer, but college soccer. And he's also happens to be one of our technical directors, working specifically with our boys high school age group. So Coach Bryan's got a great presentation for you tonight. And, he's open to some questions and answers and things along those lines. So we're going to turn it over to Coach Bryan and let him rock it tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Griff. Excited to be running this session for you guys. Excited to be able to talk about this topic. I'm going to start off by sharing my screen. So just give me a second. I got a little PowerPoint presentation that we'll go over. And then at the end of it, we'll have some time to open up, let you guys ask some questions. If you do have questions, you're going to have to put the questions into the chat box because you can't unmute yourself. And we'll pick out the questions from there as we go on. Okay. All right. So can you guys see my screen, Griff? Okay. Awesome. All right. So our talk, guys, what we're going to focus on is what makes a great soccer player and how do we get there? All right. So the main thing I want you to focus on as we go through this talk, because we have players in this talk at all different levels, but the main thing I want you guys to focus on is how you personally can be the greatest player you can be. All right. And for everybody, that's a different level or a different goal or a different desire. What I want to do is set the groundwork for you guys to understand how great can I be as a player myself? All right. How do I get to the next level? How do I get to the dream soccer situation for myself? All right. So for some of us, for all of us right now, we're club players. Maybe that's, for the younger guys as a club player, the next step in the progression for us is becoming a high school player. For the guys and girls who are on their high school teams, maybe it's becoming a JV player up to a varsity player. From a varsity player, to a starter and a key member of a top team and all conference player. We're done being a high school player, stepping up to the college level. And then for those of us who are fortunate enough and talented enough and work hard enough, maybe leaving the college ranks, becoming a professional soccer player. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with what are the attributes that a great player consists of. All right. And the game of soccer is breaks into 4 components. So we're going to talk about the 4 components that the great players have. All right. The tactical, the technical, the physical, the mental components of the game. All right. And then we're going to talk about, in my opinion, how do we get there? All right. And what do we need to do as individuals so we can be be as great as we're capable of being? All right. So the first component of the game of soccer that we're going to look at is the technical ability. All right. So the technical ability is something that everybody's probably pretty familiar with. It's the most basic concept of what the game is. All right. It's dribbling a ball, receiving a ball. All right. Passing the ball. All right. Finishing, striking balls over distance. All right. 1v1 defending. If you're a goalkeeper, all right, it's shot stopping, it's handling. All right. Dealing with service, dealing with distribution. All right. So as you guys can look at the screen, the player on the left, as many of you guys know who that is a pretty talented player in terms of his ability on the ball, his technical ability. All right. So again, are we all going to be Messi one day down the road? No. All right. But a big thing for me about the technical work, and I think you guys all being part of Baltimore Union are very fortunate to be in a great situation where the club focuses and emphasizes on that beginning basic concepts, building that foundation for you, is that it's not always about the little touches. It's about the little details as you want to become a great player. All right. So again, we can go dribble the ball. We can go juggle the ball. We can go pass the ball and be able to do all those things. But it's about the details of those movements, about the details of how we place the ball, where to play it. All right. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been out there and you see these fancy jugglers who can do all these tricks and do all this stuff at the soccer conventions or the soccer trade shows. But at the end of the day, none of them are playing soccer at a high level. All right. Because being able to have those touches is good. All right. And it's important, but it's being able to understand what the details of those touches are. How do you move the ball? How do you drive the ball? Where do you pass the ball? How do you wait a pass? All right. All those little things. All right. When it comes to the technical ability, that's the important part. The little details is what matters in the technical ability. Get that foundation. And then if you want to be great, how do you confine and continue to build to make every one of those aspects that much sharper, that much cleaner, and that much more perfect? All right. The next aspect of the game, all right, is our tactical ability. All right. So again, we build up as we're going through this talk. All right. So an old saying in soccer, all right, is without technique, there's no tactics. All right. So if you can't pass a soccer ball, all right, if you can't trap a soccer ball, if you can't dribble, if you can't defend 1v1, well, whatever your coaches are asking you to do from a tactical situation, it's irrelevant. All right. So as the unions does a great job with you guys in building that foundation of the technical ability. All right. The next step is the tactical ability. All right. And again, some of those traits of tactical ability that we have there, positional awareness. All right. Reading the game, understanding different defending concepts, the ability to decipher where and how to pass and attack, and recognizing opponents' tactics, strengths, and weaknesses. All right. So the person on the left here is Crystal Dunn. All right. So for those of you who are familiar with Crystal Dunn, most of you know her as a left back on the U.S. Women's National Team. Well, Crystal Dunn plays an attacking role in her club team. All right. She plays an attacking role her whole life. But because of her tactical knowledge, her ability to understand different positions, understand the game, it gives her greater flexibility to play in different places. The more flexibility you have as a player, the more, all right, the more that your coaches have the ability to play in different spots, the higher you can go in different areas. All right. If you pigeonhole yourself into an area where, well, look, I only know what a center back does, or I only know what a center forward does, or a striker, and I don't understand the concepts of the roles of different players on the field, well, that's great. If you're the best center back in the world, you're going to play and you're going to play a ton and you're going to be there. But if you have two center backs who are better than you, you're not going to play. All right. But if you can understand different concepts and roles, have different positional awareness, you have that ability to sort of maneuver around the field and find success. All right. So again, a tactical ability is understanding the game. All right. Understanding the different concepts on the field, understanding where to go, where to be, and be able to decipher situations. All right. One of my favorite quotes from soccer players is from Andrea Pirlo. All right. So some of you guys might be familiar with him, longtime Italian soccer player, World Cup winner, center midfielder who played at the highest level, now the head manager for Juventus. All right. His quote is, football is played with your head. Your feet are just the tools. All right. And as we talk about the progression of this, what we talked about is the technical ability is your tools. All right. You're learning how to do everything physically in that technical ability part. The tactical ability, as you get older, especially, all right, that's where the game becomes even more important. All right. Your ability to decipher those situations, read things, go from things. If those of you are familiar with Pirlo, all right, he wasn't an overly dynamic, athletic guy, but he played in the middle of the field and controlled games because he was able to interpret and read the game and read the situation before things go on. All right. And as you get to higher levels, it's important to be able to read the game and understand different things, because what coaches ask you is so much more detailed. All right. So again, what your guys are being asked for at the U9 level, the U12 level, all right, it's different because you go from 7v7 to 9v9. As you bump up to 11v11, it's different. As you bump up to an ECNL team, it's even that much higher. When you get to a high school team, it's even more so. All right. When you're at the college ranks where we are, we break down every team we play. We have full scouting reports. We talk about tactically where we want to attack teams, defend teams. And if you can progress to an even higher level professionally, the tactical awareness and ability is what it starts to separate players at that level. All right. After the tactical ability, now the next component of soccer we're talking about is physical ability. All right. And physical ability is an interesting one. All right. Because technically and tactically, especially tactically, there's really no limitations that you can put on yourself. Right. You can be as knowledgeable as you personally want about the game of soccer. You can understand the game tactically as well as you can. All right. Physical ability, there is natural limitations. All right. As much as I would love to think, I will never jump as high as Cristiano Ronaldo. All right. There's nothing I can do in my life will let me make me jump as high as him, be as agile as Messi, be as fast as Alex Morgan. All right. Be as strong as, Gucci Onyewu or some of these players who are just physical specimens. All right. And there's parts of that you can't control. All right. But when you focus on becoming a great player and getting to the highest points of your life, you got to control the controllables. All right. So what do I mean by that? All right. Can you get faster? Sure. You're always going to be able to get faster. All right. You have great opportunities to work on your speed, but can you go from being an okay pace guy to the fastest guy in the field? No. But you can improve that a little bit at a time. Endurance. All right. You control that as much as you want. You can get as fit as you want. You can be able to push yourself as much as you want. That's a controllable. Strength, another controllable. All right. Push-ups, sit-ups, all right, crunches, squats, body weight stuff, getting into the gym for the older players, hitting weight rooms, all right? Those are things you control. Power comes from that explosion, that strength, that endurance, be able to do things over and over again, all right? Your agility, all right? Coach Skeet does a great job with got everybody on Saturdays, all right? Ton of agility stuff. You can get quicker, all right? Jumping, can you get more explosives from a jumping standpoint? Without a doubt. All right. And again, it's repetitive exercise. It's repetitive movements. All right. Is there a cap on this? Yes. All right. And the biggest thing to remember when you're going through things from a physical ability is control the things you can control and be great at the things you can be great at. Okay. If you're fortunate enough to be Ronaldo and be the fastest, strongest, most dynamic guy in the field naturally, awesome. You know what? You got an advantage. You maybe don't have to work as hard in this field as other people. But if you're Ronaldo and you are that naturally and you work harder than everybody else like he does, then you become that greatest player of all time and one of the greatest players in the world. All right. So again, control what you can control. Make yourself as special as you can be. All right. And especially as you start to grow into the higher levels of the game. All right. So again, for the guys who are playing 7v7, all right, the game's not as physical. It's still a little bit more open. As you bump up to 9v9, there's more space to cover. There's more field to cover, all right? When you bump to 11v11, when you bump to ECNL or the GA League and you have substitution rules and you can't just sub in and out, well, you know what? Your fitness matters, all right? You want to play in a high-pressing system with the coach and you're not fit or you're not fast enough, you're not agile enough, you can't move, it's tough to be successful in those situations, all right? So again, as you go through those things, control the controllables, and then be as strong, as powerful as you want to be. All right. The final main component of soccer is your mental ability. All right. And there's a lot of things that come into the mental ability of soccer. All right. So, there's a list over to the right. And some of these words you see on the right: competitiveness, desire, work rate, confidence, focus, concentration, overcoming adversity, being a good teammate, finding your peak performance states. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on when it comes to mental ability, guys. All right. And this is probably, I would say, 100% the number one component is determining if you're going to be a great player or not. All right. And, we're going to touch on how. And when we touch on the how, you're going to see some of these keywords and some of these buzzwords really coming up on how, in my opinion, you get to become a great player. All right. But again, I used a picture of Carly Lloyd here. She's an interesting player, naturally gifted player, naturally talented player, who things came easy to her. All right. And in the beginning of her career, she was successful. But what's amazing for me is as she got older, when you're supposed to slow down, she got better and better and better and and played at a higher level because of what her mental ability was. All right. As her physical skills diminished, right? You're talking about in the 2015 World Cup, probably the best player in the 2015 World Cup, scoring a hat trick in the final. All right. Controlling the middle of the field, more dynamic than anybody else on the field, more athletic, strong, powerful. And 4 years later, she's not the same player anymore physically. All right. 4 years, when you get into that much longer your career, all right, it's tough to keep up those physical standards. All right. But what happened to Carly Lloyd during that time period? Well, what happened to Carly Lloyd is Carly Lloyd decided, I want to win another Women's World Cup. I'm going to make sure I get onto the Women's World Cup team. I want to be part of that roster. I want to be part of that group. I want to be a key figure in it. I don't want to just be sitting on the bench. I want to be out there when the moments matter. And what did she do? She went out there, scored another World Cup, won another championship, and stepped up and went to another higher level. All right. So again, those are the four key components of soccer. All right. Now, what I think the main part of what we want to get to is how do we get there? Okay. So again, on this talk, we got people at all different levels. All right. We got our little guys over there playing in their first tournament together as Baltimore Union kids. All right. And then, hopefully we're going to progress from these little guys up to our state cup champions as we get older and celebrate the championships that we can win in Baltimore and Union, and then build ourselves up to be college cup champions and play at the college level. And then for hopefully some of us, daring to shine ultimately and becoming a pro and playing at the highest levels the game has to offer. All right. But the key is right now, how do we get there? All right. Here's what I said to you. I said the main thing to you guys is the mental part. There's 4 main attributes that we're going to talk about. All right. So I said 4. If you read up there, those are the number 3, the top 3: desire, determination, and competitiveness. All right. So when we're talking about how do you become a great player, I don't think it's possible to become a great player without these 4 things. We're going to say the 4th one for last, but to start with: desire, determination, and competitiveness. All right. Real quick, I'm going to give you guys a second or two to look at the picture. I'm going to guess most of you guys probably going to have no idea who's in this picture. All right. Because I'll be honest with you, I would have no idea who's in this picture. All right. So the person in this picture, their college teammate from Chico State, said, I would have bet $1 million against what he's been able to do. And he's one of my best friends. All right. So one of his best friends, he looked at him, all right, and said, there's no way this guy's going to accomplish what he accomplished. All right. So again, the person in this picture, all right, is Chris Wondolowski. All right. And a lot of you guys probably still sitting there going, well, who is Chris Wondolowski? All right. And the pictures to the left of us, I call it the four parts of Chris Wondolowski's life. All right. Chris Wondolowski started off as a Division II soccer player at Chico State in California. Okay. So a Division II soccer player. All right. This picture with him in the top corner here. All right. He got drafted in the late rounds into MLS for the Houston Dynamo. He started off in the Houston Dynamo playing in the MLS Reserve League. All right. So this is in the infancy of MLS. He was making $1,200 a month to be a professional soccer player. All right. Not a lot of money. All right. He worked his butt off. All right. And here's the first quote. Watching this guy show up on Sunday morning for a Reserve League game, he play it like it's a World Cup final. All right. So that's one of his teammates. I just did an article about him. All right. So this guy showed up to Reserve League games on Sunday morning. So all the pros, the first teams in MLS, they play on Saturday. Sunday morning, everybody didn't play, showed up. They play their games, go through their motions. Well, he showed up and played that game like it was the most important game every single time. What does that show you? A desire to be good every time, a determination to work hard, all right, a competitiveness to go there, all right? He's the most competitive person I've ever met. He's an absolute maniac on the field, all right? Justin Morrow. Now, that's another one of his teammates. Morrow and Jason Hernandez are 2 players who've been capped by the U.S. national team, all right? So, again, he went out there every Sunday, competitive, worked hard, driven, all right, determined, all right, the desire to be successful. Well, he took that hard work, transformed it into a full contract with MLS, all right? That full contract with MLS. Here's your next quote, all right? He's the most consistent and competitive trainer I've ever played with, definitely. Sam Cronin, another player, an All-American at Wake Forest, another pro, another MLS All-Star, another player who's been capped by the U.S. national team, played with high-level players. Most consistent and competitive trainer, all right? So, again, the word competitive again, all right? Consistency, determination, desire, drive, all right? So he turns himself into an MLS regular. From an MLS regular, he turns himself into an MLS All-Star, all right? From an MLS All-Star, he turns himself into a member of the U.S. World Cup team. All right. So this was a guy who played Division II soccer. Right. And now, again, guys, we're using something here. You guys are starting at a lower level to build up to hopefully these points or hold up to your own greatness. All right. But again, a World Cup member, and finally finishing off as a player who now is the all-time leading scorer in MLS history. All right. And now the last 2 quotes are quotes from Wondolowski in the article. All right. It was over 100 shots per. This is all after practice. Takes between 30 to 45 minutes. That was his post-practice routine he would do 2 to 3 times a week. So they would do a full training session with the team. He would sit there and take another 100 shots 2 to 3 times a week after practice by himself for another 30 to 45 minutes. All right? That's desire. all right, to do that extra work, all right, to be the best you can be, all right. And then the next part, I definitely have a competitiveness problem. I just love playing. I do have that passion and joy. Doesn't matter if I'm a right back, center back. I try to get out there and play and try to get out there and play. All right. What does that tell us? All right. Again, that's that desire, that the competitiveness. But even more than anything else, guys, if you're going to be great, you have to love what you do. You have to love soccer. All right. Because if you don't love it, it's tough to put in all that extra work. It's tough to do the extra 30 to 45 minutes, the extra 100 shots per session. All right. It's tough to go out and do the things when nobody else is looking, nobody else is keeping track of you. All right. You have to have a passion. You have to have an excitement for it, and you have to have a love for it. All right. All right. All right. So what can we do now? All right. So we just talked about, in my opinion, the main big three things. All right. So now we're in an interesting time period. All right. Because as a club, we're, in a little bit of a holding pattern. But again, we're fortunate in this club that we have a ton of great resources. All right. So what are things we can be doing now that can increase our ability to be great players? All right. Well, we have union technical training sessions. All right. Coach Ashley ran a session last Monday. We have another session with Coach Jules on Thursday. Those are great ways to build our foundation. All right. As Pirlo said, it's a great way to build our toolbox. All right. So can we put more tools in that toolbox? Can we learn different ways to move the ball? Can we learn different ways to be successful as a soccer player? Get our touches, get sharper, get quicker, be better on the ball. All right. What else do we have? Well, we have our unit fitness sessions with Coach Skeet on Saturdays. All right. Well, what does that do? That's going to increase our physical ability. All right. So again, we talked about getting stronger. All right. I watched Coach Skeet's session on Saturday. Kids are doing squats. Guys are doing a little agility work around the ladders. We got sit-ups. We got push-ups. Those are all things that you're entirely controllable. All right. So when we talked about physical stuff, we talked about you being able to control the controllables. All right. Well, you controlling your controllables, that's entirely doing those type of workouts that Coach Skeet's offering for you. All right. So again, that is our ability right now to increase our physical ability and get better. All right. Union TV, great resource. All right. Everything's taped by the club. All right. Opportunity to find technical sessions, opportunity to find the physical sessions with Coach Skeet. All right. Opportunities to do some extra work on your own. All right. Another huge aspect of things, especially for the younger guys, is to watch pro games. All right. We're blessed in this country to have access to professional soccer games way more than anybody else in the world. All right. And you see behind Coach Griff's picture, I see he's got the CBS Access channel. All right. I'm watching it today. I got my two sons down there and we're watching it. All right. You have to watch the game. All right. I think for myself, I love soccer. All right. I'm 42 years old. I've been playing soccer and involved with soccer since I was 3 years old. Okay. The most I learned about soccer, all right, without a doubt, was my 6 years as an assistant coach at Lafayette, all right, a Division I school. And it has zero to do with the fact that it was a Division I school. My main responsibility at Lafayette is I did all our video work, all right, and all our scouting reports. I would watch our games probably 4 to 5 times per game, and I'd probably watch our opponents play about 6 times. So over the course of the 2-month season, I probably watched easily over 100 college soccer games. So the more you watch, and sometimes as weird as it is, all right, we all love watching the game for enjoyment, but the more you watch and the more you watch sometimes the same game over and over again, the more you pick up on the details of what things are doing, all right? Challenge yourself sometimes, all right? There's certain teams you're a fan of. Be a fan of that team. Watch the game, enjoy it. But challenge yourself sometimes and say, hey, you know what? I want to be the next Weston McKennie today, scoring a flying scissor kick against Barcelona, all right? Because you know what? We can be the next Weston McKennie. All right. So why can't we be him? And challenge yourself and watch his movement during the game. Just watch him play during the game, or go watch the game and then, tape it and go back and watch it again. But watching professional games, watching college games, all right? If you have ESPN Plus, there's a litany of college soccer games on. And you know what? The college game sometimes is easier for us to understand because it's our game, and what we're building up is building up to that level because the tactics of those games are similar to what a high school game is going to be or a club game is, because the technical ability is not as good as Barcelona and Juventus and everything. So watch those games and go watch other union games when we're back out there playing. All right. If you're playing on the U10 team, go watch a U12 game. Go see what's different. Go watch the high school teams, all right? Because, again, the more you see of the game, the more you learn the game and the better tactically you're going to become, all right? What else can you do? Go train and play with your family, all right? And, that's an interesting thing to say, right? I'm seeing some people on the screen. I see brothers on the screen and sisters and brothers and sisters. Well, guess what? You got a 1v1 game or a 2v2 game right in your backyard, regardless of COVID restrictions, all right? Get out there, play with each other, train with each other, all right? Your parents all care a ton about you, all right? Because if they didn't, you wouldn't be part of the union, all right? Because they do a lot of things. They sacrifice a ton for you. Go ask them to sacrifice and go in the backyard and take a ball with you, all right? But if you train and play with your family, all right, you can get yourself technically better and tactically better, all right? Because one of the best ways to get tactically smarter, understand the game more, is to go problem solve for yourself and not have your coach do it. All right, so the more you can go play pickup, the more you can go play in those situations and solve the problems for yourself, tactically you're going to be better. The more that you have to play against your older sibling, especially for the younger one, tactically you're going to get better. Technically you're going to get better. Physically you're going to get better. All right. And the biggest thing you can always do, guys, and this is the most important thing, is train on your own. Okay. And training on your own increases every aspect of your game, especially the mental part. All right. Because when you invest, all right, when you take the time and energy to invest in something, it means more to you and your opportunity to be successful will go flying up. All right. Be creative. All right. Figure out different ways. Go to a school, knock a ball against the wall. Go set up cones. Create dribbling challenges for yourself. Create obstacles for yourself. Create juggling challenges. Go find where there's a soccer goal or a post. Drive a ball and see if you can hit a crossbar. All right. Create different challenges. Create different games and push yourself and stimulate yourself. Create physical workouts. Create a session where you're going to sprint to a ball, dribble through something. All right. Challenge yourself and be creative. All right. The more you challenge yourself, the more you be creative out of all these things, the more you train on your own, the better and greater you will become as a player. All right. So when you sit there and say, what can we do? These are the biggest steps. All right. And that's regardless if you're playing U8 soccer and you're just starting, or if you want to be a high school player and you want to get to the college level. All right. The biggest things you can do, train on your own. Be committed to do more than anybody else is doing. All right. So again, guys, all right, I told you in the beginning, we talked about what are the first three things, all right? We talked about there's four main components, all right, that I think you need, all right? Desire, determination, and competitiveness. All right, we're going to finish off right now with a quick one more slide, all right? And I'm going to think, to me, which is the most important thing you need to be a great player. All right, the most important thing you need to be a great player is you need commitment, all right? We all have desire. We all have determination. We're all competitive in moments. Are we committed to being that person all the time? All right. And this was an Anton Doran's quote about Mia Hamm. All right. The vision of a champion is someone who's bent over, drenched in sweat at the point of exhaustion when nobody else is watching. That's commitment. Are you willing to do more than the person next to you? Are you willing to do it when no one's asking you to do it? Are you willing to do it when no one's talking you to do it? All right. If you want to be great, you have to step up and want to be great. All right. Mom and dad can't do it for you. They can push you. They can support you. All right. But at the end of the day, the commitment's about you guys wanting to be out there, wanting to go play pickup sessions, wanting to go to the extra union training sessions, wanting to go to the union TV and finding more. All right. So that's the biggest thing for me, guys. All right. Have that foundation. All right. And then to be great, it takes desire, determination, competitiveness, and commitment. All right. Awesome. Well, I mean, that's the basic part of the presentation. Does anybody have any questions that they want to throw in the chat box, and we can answer any questions you have? It can be specific about the college game, anything that comes up to you guys, I'll gladly help and answer and go as best I can.
Coach Bryan, before we or while they type their questions in, first, I just want to say that was awesome. I think you nailed so many great points there about what it takes to, really advance in the game. And the biggest one is, guys and girls, if you weren't listening, Coach Bryan talked about what are you doing when nobody else is looking, right? When you're not at a scheduled practice, when you're not being told to do something, those are really the folks that just keep progressing, and people are like, where'd he come from, or where'd she come from? Well, they were out on their own practicing, right? They weren't just doing it in practice. That was good stuff. Did anybody have any questions? Obviously, for some of our older folks that are on the call, Coach Bryan's a college coach. So if you got any college specific questions, he's here to help you with that as well. We got a question.
So I see a couple here. So someone asked, can you watch high school? Okay, so I don't know if that's in regards to recruiting, but you know, we definitely can watch high school games in regards to recruiting. In terms of you guys as players, I think watching high school games is a great way. All right, you know, I mean, I know for my own kids, and you know, I mean, my son who's on the 2012 team already talks about playing high school soccer against his buddies at different schools and everything. Well, if you got dreams and goals of going to those certain schools, go watch the teams and go see what you need to do to get there. Right? If you want to go to Calvert Hall, go watch a Calvert Hall game. You want to go to Curly, go watch a Curly game. All right? You see some really talented players in the area, and you also are going to be able to see what you need to get there and get some excitement. And if that's where you want to be, start creating a personal attachment to those things. So, you know, I definitely think you can go watch it. And from a recruiting standpoint, you know, depending upon the school, some schools will go watch high school soccer. We definitely do a goucher where at games every year for high school. So another question, which part of the game is the most important in your eyes? I think that's a great question. You know, everybody as a coach has a different preference. I mean, I think for me, by far and away, I think the most important thing is competitiveness. All right. I think you can be the most technical soccer player in the world as far as I'm concerned, but if you don't want to win and you don't care about winning and you don't put that extra work in, then I just think your ability to be successful is going to be limited. All right. That competitiveness is what drives you and can get you to another level. All right. And it allows you to get the most out of yourself at the most time. So I think without a doubt, if I'm looking for players, competitiveness is the most. And what I say to kids when I'm recruiting them, a lot of them say, well, what do you look for? I say, well, I want to make sure kids are competitive and athletic. All right. Because here's the thing. If you're athletic and you're competitive, you're going to be you should be pretty decent technically. All right. Because when you're training, all right, you're going to want to make sure your passes are good, your touches are good, you're able to do things because you want to beat the person you're going against. So I think competitiveness is a big aspect. And then when you talk about the technical aspect of things, especially you go to a higher level, a big part of the technical stuff, guys, is your ability to play balls over distance and the ability to receive balls over distance. All right. I had my college coach tell me that from an early point. I was fortunate enough. He's coached professionally in MLS. He's coached professionally in Scotland. You know, so great mentor for me, but he said flat out, Bryan, your ability to drive balls over distance and your ability to receive balls over distance will determine how high of a level you can play at soccer. And I think it's true. You watch those pros play and you see them drive a 60-yard ball and it lands right on a guy's foot and the guy takes it right down. You know, think about how hard that is, all right, and how effortlessly they make it look. All right. Do you emphasize speed workouts or endurance? I think that's a great question. I mean, when we're with our guys training wise, I do a lot more speed stuff with them, a lot more interval stuff and agility stuff, because I think there's a greater way for us to impact them with those type of workouts, and they're more soccer specific workouts when we're training with them. All right. The endurance is something you have to do on your own. All right. You know, it doesn't do me any good to sit there and say, all right, we're going to run a mile today at training. Okay. Well, to me, I just wasted, I mean, hopefully for my college guys, 6 minutes. But, you know, for younger guys, 8-10 minutes. All right. When we're training, I want to train. All right. And I could put speed and agility and endurance stuff and, you know, or speed workouts into my training sessions. And the endurance should come from the pace of my training sessions. All right. So when we're training, all right, then what we want is the pace to be fast, the energy to be fast, the movement to be fast, and we want it to be nonstop. All right. We want to go from exercise A to B to C to D. So when we train for an hour and 30 minutes at Goucher, an hour and 15 minutes, we're training. All right. And that's where the endurance aspect comes into it as well. All right. For a motivated kid outside of normal practice, how many days a week would you recommend for a 9 to 10-year-old to practice? Okay. So here's the thing. You're talking 9 to 10-year-old kid. Don't practice outside of practice. Play. All right. Play games. All right. So again, we get caught up so much in let's train. All right. And right now with what we're doing with the union and what Coach Griff's got organized for you guys is awesome. All right. And we got to get those touches because we're limited. All right. But my biggest thing is figure out how to play. All right. And don't make it a training. Don't make it practice. Make it a game. All right. So what do I mean by that? If you got friends in the neighborhood, just go play with your friends, you know, as many days as you want to. All right. Because it's fun. All right. And it should be fun. If you don't have friends and you're by yourself and you want to do some work, figure out how to create games for yourself. All right. Put a ball, take a ball, put an object out there and say, all right, my goal is to hit the cone 10 times from 10 yards away, then go to 20 yards away. All right. But and what they should be doing as much as they want to. All right. So as parents, sometimes we have a bad, I guess we're bad sometimes where we're like, go train, go do this, go do that. You know what? It takes the love out of it for them. They're 9 and 10 years old. All right. They don't know what they're going to want to do. All right. There's some of them are going to sit there and change their mind 800 times from now. All right. When they're 9 and 10, let them love it. Let them enjoy it. Let them have fun. All right. But ultimately, let them play. All right. And if they want to be out there 7 days a week, that's awesome. If they want to go do another game or something, great. Because you know what? When they're 9 and 10 and they go play pickup football with their buddies in the neighborhood, guess what? They learn tactical things and they learn how to move differently, which helps them with soccer. All right. So let them go explore that stuff. Let them play as much as they want, but don't force them at that age, all right? With my kids right now, I'll be honest with you, I do force them to go to do the union tactical trainings on Mondays and Thursdays because they don't have regular training, and that's their regular training times, and they know they're going to go do that, all right? And they're going to do Coach Skeet's workout, but I'm not taking them, and my two boys are 8 and 10 right now, okay? I'm not taking them and forcing them to go outside and do any of that stuff. They do it organically, all right? They do it with themselves because they want to do it. And I think that's an important thing for them. Don't shove it down their throats. Let them love the game. And if they love the game, that commitment and that desire is going to be easier for them to have. Would I recommend the same thing for a 12-year-old girl? Yeah. I mean, I would. I recommend it for anybody because, look, greatness is determined by each individual, in my opinion. Okay. I'm going to be as great of a soccer coach as I want to be. Okay. Could I be a better soccer coach or a worse soccer coach? Yeah. Depending on how much effort and energy and desire that I want to put into it. Okay. So what you always have to ask your child. And when I coach club and work with club teams, I always ask my goals when I'm working with you is to get you to where you want to be as a player. Okay. Some of us here will sit there and say, I want to be a pro. That's awesome. Then let's do what we can to help you get to that level. Some of us are going to sit there and say, I want to play in college and that's it. Great. Some of us say, I just want to be on the high school team. Some of us are going to say, hey, I just want to play for the union. And when I'm done with the union, okay, I'm good. That's fine. Go do what you want to do and let your kids go be who they want to be. If they want more, they're going to tell you they want more. All right. And when they want more, be there to support them and give them more. All right. Agree that the mental component is the most important of the 4 pillars. So what ideas, skills, exercises can coaches provide for their players to be stronger and healthier mentally? I think this is a great question. So here's my biggest thing. Make everything a game. Everything you do as a coach has to have a purpose and there has to be a competitiveness to it. Okay. I watch a lot of training sessions and we'll play a possession game. Well, what was the purpose and point of the possession game? All right. Just to keep possession of the ball. Well, okay, so what did we get out of that? All right. Whatever we do at Goucher, and this is my personal philosophy, there's a game component aspect to it, including technical work. Okay. When we do passing, we'll set it up in a way that they're eventually passing the ball to a net and we're keeping score who hits the most passes. Or we're keeping a track of who can get the most passes around the square the most time, or who can get the dribbling done in a certain amount of time, all right? Make it competitive, all right? So every time they're in a competitive environment, it's going to help them become more competitive. They're going to have to figure out ways to be successful. Then when they're in a competitive environment, they also start being able to learn how to manage those other situations, all right? So again, I've watched kids, bowling on the field as 8 and 9-year-olds because they lost. Okay, nothing wrong with that because they care. Okay, I've watched kids lose it on the field and do stupid things at 8 and 9-year-olds because they care. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But what they need to do is continue to be in situations where they fail. Okay, and when you compete in training, someone's going to fail, and that's okay to fail. All right. So what it is how do we recover from failure? And the recovering from failure is how we get better mentally. All right. That's what's going to teach us all those mental aspects that we need to be. Perseverance, how to be a good teammate when things aren't going well. All right. How to handle situations, how to move on, how to overcome obstacles. Right. That's so much of it. Right. When you go out, if you win every game 5-6-0 and it's easy for you all the time, guess what? You're not learning anything that way. All right. It feels good. Everybody's happy, but you're not learning anything that way. You learn when things go wrong. All right. So as a coach, make it competitive, push them, challenge them, make the game hard, put them in a position where they're going to fail at times, and let them learn how to overcome that failure and be there to support them with that. All right. Any other questions from anybody at all?
Ryan, just maybe switching gears a little bit, because I do see some older players on here,
Sure.
or high school age. Right now with the COVID situation shutting down recruiting, I guess just for the D1 schools, but really limiting the opportunities you can see players as well. What are some things you'd be doing as a player right now that's a junior or senior in high school looking to go to college?
Yeah, so I think from a junior senior standpoint, and Mike's right, Division Ones obviously have been extremely limited because they're in restrictions where they can't go out. But even for us right now, Goucher, we're not allowed to recruit out of the state of Maryland. All right, so that really impacts us and our ability to see kids. I think the biggest thing is just you have to be creative. Okay, you can control what you can control. All right, push yourself and work as hard as you can, but then try to get game tape. All right, so I know. I think the 04s, I see Jeff's here. Jeff's team has VO. Can we get, can you get a copy of your game tapes and cut up some game tape and send a copy of that to some college coaches, letting them know you're interested. All right. We're trying to be as creative as we can as college coaches to get as much game tape, game film as we can in those situations. And, if you're interested, and again, fortunately for the boys side of it, I've had a chance to work with all the juniors and seniors in the club. If you guys need anything and you need references, you can contact me and I can help you out with the process. I'm more than willing to do that stuff. But I think the biggest thing is you just have to continue to move forward and ask coaches what information, what are you allowed to do, and what can I provide you with to give you a better access to me, all right? Because again, the recruiting situation for us is totally off, right? I can't run ID clinics the way I used to run them. I can't run my overnight camps, which are huge recruiting tools for us. So we're really limited to a lot of the things we can do. So go out and contact those coaches if you're an older player. Ask them what avenues they have to recruit, what avenues they have to be in contact with you, and then provide them the best you can the information. I mean, some coaches might be fine with you shooting a quick, have your parents shoot a video. You're doing some technical work if you have to. All right, just be creative as you can, and if you need ideas, like I've told you guys, especially for the older boys, but this goes for the older female teams too. If they need help, don't hesitate to contact me, and I can give you some ideas and some strategies to go forward with.
Ryan, would you say, not that junior college is ever a bad idea, but would you say this is, not a bad time to consider that, given the uncertainty of the Division I through Division III schools?
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword, because I mean, I'm extremely friendly with Joe Fiedler at Essex. We play Essex every fall and spring. I think Essex is a fantastic option for anybody who's looking at that avenue, and if it works for you, But there's a difference between being a junior college and a four-year player, all right, in terms of the build-up and everything else like that. When you're a junior college player, every year you're flipping over half your team, all right? When you go to a four-year college, you're with those guys for 4 years. You're building up to something hopefully special and everything else like that. But I think, every option is something you have to look at. And, it's an interesting time period because you might slip through the cracks. So if you feel like you're not getting the looks that you're getting, then go to Essex. I mean, you're going to play high-level soccer. You're going to get a chance to compete at a national level at Essex. And Joe does a fantastic job, if you work hard, of helping you find the right place to call home. So I think that's a wonderful option for players who don't know what they want to do or don't feel like they have the right fit for them. Because I think when you're looking at colleges, and I say this to everybody that we recruit at Goucher, the number one priority for me and the number one thing I want in a recruit is somebody who wants to be a Goucher. And when you're looking at college and you're trying to decide what you want to do, all right, go someplace where you're going to be happy. All right, these are it should be four of the best years of your life, or 2 years at JUCO or 2 years afterwards, where you have lifelong friends and have amazing experiences. So don't force yourself into something if it's not right for you. Explore, go out there. You might have some options that you're not getting, but you also might end up with some options that you didn't think were out there that end up being good for you. All right, so I think junior college is a great route with Joe at Essex. All right, and there's our other bunch of good options out there too. So just continue to explore. The process might be slower than it normally is. I mean, I'll be honest with you, this is by far and away, again, like Griff said, I've been doing this for over 20 years. This is by far and away the weirdest year of recruiting I've ever had. All right. I mean, to give you an idea, for us at Goucher, I, by this point, have normally seen 1,300 kids that I think are good enough to play for Goucher in person. And I'm not talking about from freshmen to sophomores. I'm talking about 1,300 kids who are good enough that would be seniors right now. I'm at 250 kids this year because of our lack of ability to go see kids. Okay. So what does that mean? Maybe some kids who I might not have taken, I might take now because my options are a little bit more limited. So you might have an option there that comes out, or, or maybe we have to give people more tryouts opportunities. So it's really an interesting, unique year, but it also might mean the process is later for everybody. And if we're back out playing in February and March, coaches are going to be out there seeing kids and still having options too. So I'd say keep all your options open until you find the right place to go home. And if you know it's the right place, then make that decision and go.
Brian, out of that 1,300 or so players you say you look at each year, I know it depends on need and things like that too. Certain years are different, but on average, how many players do you bring in each year?
All right. So for us, and again, every school's different. I'm being very transparent about Goucher, which I always am, even with people I recruit. Out of that 1,300 kids, all right, we probably have about 200 to 250 that get back in touch with us. All right. So when I'm talking about those 1,300 kids, I'm talking about throughout the whole continental United States. We're fortunate at Goucher that we have a budget that we can actually go recruit nationally, and there are 10 events in Vegas, California, Florida. So we write to a lot of kids and never hear back from them. We write to kids down the road and never hear back from them. Okay. So out of that 250, we probably wound down to about, I would say our average class size is about 10 kids. So when you shape it all down, because when you think about it, if we're looking at, a kid, well, he's looking at probably 5 to 10 colleges, so the math has to work. I mean, now again, if I'm at Johns Hopkins University, my math is a lot different because the appeal at Johns Hopkins is a lot higher, or if I'm at a Division I school, I mean, the Penn head coach is one of my best friends. I know we got a chance to see him against UMBC. Well, Bry's already done with his 21 class and halfway done with his 22 class. Is super selective because he's at UPenn, and you have to have certain admission standards, and guys will die to get into Penn and play soccer there. So, it's all selective and everything else like that. But I would say for us, an average class size in most Division III schools, the average class size can be about 10 kids would be my guess.
Awesome. Well, look, Brian, I don't want to take up any more of your time. We appreciate the last 45 minutes. I want to thank everybody that got on here. We had about 80 folks on here tonight, so that's a great turnout. Great information. We recorded it, so we'll put it on Union TV. I thought it was a great presentation. So I'll also, if you don't mind, Brian, I'll shoot your email in there for any high school age parents that have questions for you as well that maybe they weren't able to ask.
No problem. If anybody else has questions again about any of it, don't hesitate to ask. Couldn't be any more excited to be part of the union with working with Mike and everything, but even with my kids and the enjoyment they've had between my two sons and even my youngest daughter potentially playing down the road. So, I got more learning experience as a parent with the younger ages than coaching necessarily. But if you have questions about anything at any point, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll gladly do the best I can helping anybody out.
No, we really appreciate it, Brian. It's great having you on staff. Thanks again, Brian.
No problem. Have a good night, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.